on to the face palette part of this palette. Part that's not for the eyes. Hi there, my name's Alana and I'm a huge Charlotte Tilbury enthusiast. Charlotte Tilbury is one of the brands that I know the most about, that I love the most, and that I'm always speaking about here on my channel. When I saw that Charlotte released 2 new instant look in a palettes along with re-releasing some lipsticks and some more shades in the Tinted Love line, I mean, it was in my cart probably within seconds of getting the email. So I purchased both palettes, a couple of the Tinted Loves, and I actually already had all of the lipsticks from the collection. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to go through the process of applying each of these beautiful palettes and these Tinted Loves, and then I'm gonna show you some lipstick swatches. And then we're gonna talk about the collection as a whole, and I think really ask ourselves, are these universally flattering or not? So let's get into it. Hello, so today we are going to be testing out this beautiful palette. This is the Glowing Beauty palette. And immediately when I saw the name, it made me think of the Gorgeous Glowing Beauty palette. Let me show you that really quick. So this is the Gorgeous Glowing Beauty palette, and this is the Glowing Beauty palette. Off the bat, my recommendation to Charlotte would be, let's not have a gorgeous glowing palette and a glowing palette. Now, in this new launch, Charlotte did release 2 new palettes, and this is supposedly the darker one. Now, if we are being honest, between the 2 palettes, the other one is the one that at first glance is the palette that I want to wear every day. So I'm actually choosing to save that palette to wear tomorrow or on Saturday, so that way I can film a few more videos in it. Today is my birthday, so I thought it'd be fun to go for something a little more dramatic, but also I'm just doing this segment and then getting back to dinner. My husband's making dinner right now. So I have started off with my Bobbi Brown foundation. I have Hollywood Flawless Filter on my base, Charlotte Tilbury brows, and MAC Paint Pot in Painterly on my lids. I'm going to leave that linked down below, but that is the base that's on my face right now because I really just wanted to focus on this palette. So let's start with the eye look. I'm going to start with number 1, Definition. When I swatched this shade the other day for Instagram and like TikTok, oh my goodness, it was so pretty. So this is the kind of shade that I want all over my lid. And off the bat, it's a beautiful sort of pearly, soft peach. This is a very flattering color in my books. Now, my concern with this palette is this is supposedly the palette meant for, you know, a little deeper complexions, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna look great on me. So we're gonna talk about that in a different segment of the video. So I've just put that all over my lid using my Sonia G Worker 2 brush. I am so impressed with her brush quality, and getting more of those is on my list. So I'm actually just gonna use the same brush and go in with number 3, Smoke. Now, I saw someone in my comments sort of say they're really excited. By the way, I'm just tapping this on the outer little bit and into the crease. We're gonna blend that in with something else. It's a really pigmented shade, which could be a good thing for our deeper complexion friends. Okay, so let's blend that in with just a clean blending brush. And then let's take just a touch more. Now I'm going to use one of my favorite tricks. I'm just going to take that brush that you're just using, tap a little more on, and pinch it to do my under my eye. Okay, and then I'm going to use my finger to apply this middle shimmer shade. Now I swatched this once and the number and name on it was completely gone, but immediately when I swatched it, it gave me major Fire Rose vibes. So I'm hoping that this palette could be something if you missed out on Fire Rose. The shimmer just feels like it is absolutely dancing on my eyes. Wow. Okay, so I'm just gonna pause for just a moment. I'm gonna put on my eyeliner and my mascara. Now, when I did this in a previous video, somebody did ask me if I have a eyeliner tutorial. I'm also gonna leave that linked down below with an approximate timestamp. It's an older video, so I'm a better filmer now. Okay, I have a better setup. Be forgiving, but I think the tips are really good. Okay, so our eyes are done, so let's move on to the face part of the palette. We're gonna start with the bronzer. We're gonna use a nice big brush. Now what I'm hoping is that this will be a bronzer that will kind of bronze me a little, contour me a little, and just kind of be that 2-in-1. What I'm really looking for from either of these palettes is truly an all-in-one look. I think palettes like this from Charlotte, assuming the shades work for you, can be an amazing way to have an effortless, easy, no thinking look for a mom. You know, if you're busy, like I think of my friends who have like small children and babies, and you know, they don't have time to be like matching their blush and bronzer. Okay, so we're gonna move on now to number 6, which is the Cheek the Pop shade. Anyways, I just know how much my friends who are moms really value just easy, quick, no fuss. And what's great about these kind of palettes is assuming that the shades all work for you, it can just make things really easy. If you're not a mom, if you aren't in a pandemic, then okay, we'll just say I put the blush on. It is a little bit more of a flush than I'm looking for, but we're gonna make it all work. Okay, so let's go in with number 5, the highlighter. I'm just gonna use the same brush. Then taking a fresh brush, I'm just gonna go in with the face powder everywhere that we have not already put some powder. Don't live in Australia, then you are still living in a global pandemic like me here in Ontario. And so you're probably not traveling, but if you were traveling for like a weekend away for work or something, again, a palette like this makes things easy. Okay, so I've got this all on my face. So let's talk about it. And I am gonna finish my look off with the Nude Romance lipstick. This is a newer launch. I guess, is it relaunched in this? It launched earlier this year. I have a dedicated video to it. I'll leave it linked down below. Okay, so this is the Glowing Beauty palette on me. Off the bat, I will say it's pretty. I think I made it all work together. If I had to pick a favorite part of this palette, it is that shimmery eyeshadow topper. It reminds me so much of Fire Rose. Just gives that sparkle and that fire behind the eyes. Now on to the rest of the palette. Overall, I'd say the eyeshadows are pretty. They work on me. I think they would also work on a deeper complexion. The matte shade is quite pigmented, so I used a very light hand, but if you have a deeper complexion than me, obviously you might not need to be as careful. Also, I didn't want like too crazy of a look. I mean, I have exciting plans in the kitchen with my husband. He's making my dinner right now. On to the face palette part of this palette. Part that's not for the eyes. Again, I think it works on me. I'm not saying it doesn't. And I do sort of feel that sort of pretty sun-kissed kind of gold, and I feel like that look is very trending right now. But the blush is a little deeper than I like to go. Honestly, the highlighter doesn't really work on me. The highlighter is definitely too dark and too pigmented. The bronzer worked fine. It's probably not a shade that I would pick if it wasn't in the palette, but it works. And the setting powder is the face powder. That is one part that I don't really think particularly works for me on this palette. When I put it on, kind of especially on my forehead, I realized how sort of deep and yellow it is. It's pretty warm toned. So again, it works within the palette for me, but I definitely wouldn't buy a shade like that on its own. In her previous face palettes, the larger shade has been a highlighter, and so she's swapped in a face powder for that. I think that makes it really difficult to make this something that's going to work for a large range of people, because obviously only so many people can wear the same face powder. I did find it was like pretty pigmented. I did try to use it very sparingly after the initial incident on my forehead. I tried to kind of tap it out and buff it in, and so overall, the look comes together. I think the eyeshadows are particularly pretty. And again, the blush, bronzer, highlighter, face palette, I can make it all work on my fair complexion. However, I think it is probably better suited to somebody with a little bit more of a medium, maybe even like an olive kind of complexion. However, for the palette that is more deeper skin friendly, I don't really see this going beyond medium. And I would say that I love these face palettes. I think they're so convenient. The formulas are incredible. And I've said this before in other videos about her face palettes. I would love to see these be something where there's an option for everybody. So I think it's really too bad that she only released 2 face palettes. I would have loved to have seen her come out with 4. I mean, 3 would be a step up. 6 would be incredible. But even if there was like 4, you know, if there was like a light, sort of a fair light, a light medium, sort of a medium tan, and like a deep or something, I think that would be wonderful, and I wish everyone could enjoy these. But I will say that if the palette that works for the medium and deep complexions is this flattering on, you know, the fairest of them all, as I would probably say if I was in Disney, then I think there's a little bit more of an opportunity for inclusivity. That being said, on me, I think it's pretty, but you know, we are gonna see how the other one looks. I expect the other one to be more flattering on me, but I am filming this one first because I expect the other one to be more flattering and I want to film in that all day. So, I feel pretty. I would happily wear this out of the house, but it's a tough sell if you're not a beauty YouTuber, a beauty blogger, because the face powder's not going to work for everyone. I think it just really depends. If the powders are all going to work for you, then this is an incredible value. But if you're only getting value, say, out of the eyeshadow trio, then at $95, it's hard to recommend it, you know? Anyways, this is my look on day 1. Again, wearing Nude Romance on my lips. Love it. And I will see you in the next clip where I try the next palette tomorrow. So, off to my birthday dinner. So it is day 2 of trying out this collection. So today we're going to be trying out the Tinted Loves. Now, just so you know, for my complexion today, I am wearing my Chanel Le Beige, like the water tint. So very, very light coverage foundation. I did just a really light eye look. I used that little Power Bar eyeshadow from Tarte. This is just a work from home look. And so, yeah, we're going to try these 2 out. I have Blushed Rose and Santa Euphoria. So what I'm going to do is actually do one color on each side of my cheek, and if it looks great, awesome, I'll wear it like that for the rest of the day, and if it looks terrible off camera, I'll just switch one out. So we just put some dabs on my cheek. Go for the second round. Third round. It's not very pigmented. And then I'm just gonna pop this shade on my lips. Okay, so that looks so pretty on the lips. So again, that is Blushed Rose on my cheek here. And that is Nothing. So on this side, we're going to use Santa Euphoria. This one, so whereas this shade really feels just like a neutral nude dusty rose, this one has a little bit more of like a brown earthiness to it. This is definitely the kind of liquid cream blush that I would prefer to wear on a very light coverage day. So that's why I went with that very light coverage foundation. Okay, and so that is Santa Euphoria. So let me just... So that's Blushed Rose and that is Santa Euphoria. I'm also going to include some daylight swatches because I have the feeling that this is going to look beautiful in daylight, but I think that the studio light just kind of blasts it out. But let's try Santa Euphoria on my lips. Yeah, this is a little bit more of sort of a corally, but still very nude, neutral color. A little bit more warmth, whereas Blushed Rose has a little bit more pinkness to it. So I'll give you one last look, and then we're gonna head over to the daylight swatches. So as promised, here are the daylight swatches. So we've got Blushed Love here and Tinted Euphoria here with Tinted Euphoria on my lips. And I'm just saying I was right. So in the daylight, I think they are just a really, really pretty flush of color. I think, don't mind my kettle in the back, I think that these are the kind of blushes that if you are looking for that model off-duty, easy everyday sort of obviously my lips better, my face but better, really a really pretty glossy blush. If you're filming for YouTube in HD, maybe not. And I'm just loving the tint on the lips. It's comfortable, it looks very natural. It feels good. So I really like these for every day. I think they're super cute. So again, on my face, I have the Bobbi Brown foundation and Charlotte Tilbury's Hollywood Flawless filter, some concealer, and my Charlotte Tilbury brows. And for this segment, we are going to be using the Instant Look of Love in a Palette Pretty Blushed Beauty Palette. And this of the two was the one that instantly caught my eye when I saw it online. So we're gonna start with the eyeshadow, and we're gonna put this shimmery shade right here all over my lid, I'm thinking. Yeah, we're gonna put that all over the lid. And for my base, I do have MAC Paint Pot in Painterly. Okay, so this is a very sheer wash of like a peachy champagne shimmer. Using a fluffy brush, we're gonna use number 2 to define our eyes. This looks like a little bit more of sort of an oystery pearl. I'm actually gonna go with that same brush I was just using because I think it picks up the color a little better. And again, this is the Sonia G Worker 2. I'm actually gonna put this just all over the main part of my eyelid. We're gonna use Smoke instead in the crease. And Smoke is just a matte brown that I'm gonna pack on the outer bit there. We're gonna come back with the fluffy blending brush to bring that definition. And I'm just gonna put a little on the tip and go under my eye. Back in with the fluffy blending brush just to blend, 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 and bring a little shape in. So now I'm going to go in with bronzer here, number 4, using my big bronzer brush. And off the bat, this shade looks a little lighter than the other palette. Yeah, this is more of the kind of bronzer I would use. I'm going to go in with my blush brush, number 6. And then we're going to go in with a highlighter, number 5, right here. And then we are going to finish it off with number 7 over here, the face powder. I'm wondering if this will be the same as the other one. Okay, let's pop on some eyeliner and mascara and then we'll have a quick chat. So this is the look of the Charlotte Tilbury Instant Look in a Palette Pretty Blushed Beauty Palette. Beautiful, sort of like a soft pinky golden. I think this is really, really pretty, really flattering. I'm happy with how it turned out. I did put wedding bells on my lips to switch it up on the lipstick front, but this is exactly the kind of thing I'd wear for a pretty everyday look. I had a moment of doubt with the eyeshadow, but I think it came together in a really beautiful, everyday, wearable way. I mean, this is what I was expecting. I got what I was expecting. I feel beautiful, like golden, a little like, sort of like, I just feel really pretty. And is that not what makeup's for? So now let's talk about the collection as a whole. So earlier this year, I went through the process of reviewing both my Gorgeous Glowing Beauty palette and my Stoned Rose palette. 2 beautiful palettes that I absolutely love. I'm gonna leave the reviews for these linked down below. And I made a comment that I wish that there was one of these Instant Look in a palettes for everybody. I wish that there was one for every shade. And so when I saw these 2 released and I read through the promotional material, it appeared like there was one for light medium, which is of course the blushed pretty palette. And then that Glowing Beauty would be something more flattering, perhaps for deeper complexions. So my first comment is I wish they didn't call it Glowing Beauty. I think it's kind of confusing when they have the Gorgeous Glowing Beauty palette right here. I would recommend using any of the other buzzwords that Charlotte uses to describe palettes. Could have been called like the Hollywood palette. You know, there are so many other things that Charlotte could have used. I think having a Glowing Beauty and a Gorgeous Glowing Beauty palette is confusing. So let's start with going through the swatches. Okay, so this is the eyeshadow trio. Then we have the bronzer, the face powder, the highlight, and the blush. So the eyeshadow in particular, this coppery shade is stunning. A little darker than I prefer for myself for a base, but that's okay. This is supposed to be the medium deep palette. This shimmery shade, stunning, like stunning, stunning, beautiful, great shade here. This is actually the same shade as her bronzer in Film Star Bronze and Glow, the medium deep palette. This is described as the medium deep face powder. We've got a highlighter and a blush. So off the bat, I do want to commend Charlotte for attempting to release a palette that is more inclusive for those with deeper skin tones. Personally, I don't think this palette is going to work for people with deep complexions. I think it'll work for people with maybe a medium tan kind of complexion. Of course, we're gonna have to see what the reviewers with other complexions have to say about it, but for my 2 cents, I think this palette overall does work for me. I think it works for somebody with fairer complexion. I did note that the bronzer was a little darker than I like to go, of course, and the highlighter felt more like a blush topper at my complexion. It didn't really feel like the kind of highlight shade I would reach for, but I was able to make the eye palette work. I was able to make the whole look work, but just not what I would reach for, and honestly, I wouldn't have purchased it if I didn't have a YouTube channel. Now, I think the palette is pretty. I do worry about the face powder because I just think there's no way that's gonna work for most people with deeper complexions. So what I would have loved to have seen is this being the medium palette and then having a third option or even a fourth for those with deeper complexions. I'd love to see it from Charlotte, and I hope she does that one day. I do think that this palette is very pretty. I think the glowing palette is very pretty. And if I had to say my favorite thing about it, it is that sparkly eyeshadow. It reminds me of the formula so much of the iconic pop shade in the Fire Rose palette. Overall, a really pretty palette, and I can't stress enough, I love that the bronzer and the face powder and the highlight are a little deep for me and don't work for me, because that means it's going to open up these palettes to so many other people. So a beautiful palette. Would I recommend it if you have my complexion? No. But if you do have a similar complexion to mine, I think that you are going to find the Pretty Blush Beauty palette to be very, very pretty. It actually reminds me a bit of the Stoned Rose palette and that sort of warm, corally, peachy vibes. Okay, so let's take a look at the swatches. So here we have the eyeshadow and this rose gold sort of peachy shimmer. So, so pretty. Again, reminds me of that Fire Rose formula. This shade here, just so wonderful to blend with and provide some depth. So it says that it has the Film Star Bronze and Glow light medium. So I've swatched the comparison here, and while similar, it is not the same. The Film Star Bronze and Glow from my Film Star Bronze and Glow palette, it's a little bit more luminosity to it, where this one is a bit more matte, and it's also a bit lighter. So moving on, we then have the Fair Medium setting powder, which I've compared to the setting powder in the deeper palette, and I gotta say, they look the same to me compared to my airbrush setting powder. So these are all the airbrush formula in fair, a lot darker, a lot more yellow. The highlighter is the highlight from the Film Star Bronze and Glow palette, or so it claims. Again, I've swatched mine down here, and there are slight differences. I feel like mine is a little pinker. And then we have the blush. So I've also done some quick swatches comparing it to in the middle. This is Fire Rose. So as you can see, still a bit of shimmer and sparkle. The one in the blushed beauty palette is a little more similar, but ultimately Fire Rose is more of a foil. But I do think that these really give me similar vibes, and so if you missed out on Fire Rose, you might enjoy these sparkle shades here. Okay, so now that we've taken a look at the Pretty Blushed Beauty palette swatches, wanted to share my thoughts. First of all, this palette is the one I'm wearing right now. Feels incredibly flattering, feels very, very pretty on me. I feel beautiful wearing this palette. This is the kind of palette where if you have a similar complexion to me, overall, this one is going to work for you for an easy, effortless, maybe like a weekend away or mom on the go look. Just really, really effortless. I will say that I think this face powder is too deep on me, and I wish it was a little lighter. But I also wish the face powder and the other one was a little deeper. I think that those would have helped differentiate these palettes for working for a light medium complexion versus a medium deep complexion. They're both very pretty. I love this formula here. It's described as a diamond filter sparkle texture. Okay, well this is beautiful. You can apply wet or dry. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love this texture in both palettes. Love to see more of this from Charlotte. I also really like that she's been reusing the face powder, the bronzer, the highlight from her other sort of iconic products. I think that's a really good move. I hope she continues to do that. And yeah, this palette is beautiful. I will continue to wear it. And well, I probably would have appreciated having a little bit more of a pearl sort of texture for the base of my eyeshadow. The diamond one is really, really pretty. I do think that either of these palettes is sufficiently different from Gorgeous Glowing Beauty and from Stoned Rose. Neither one of these have that diamond texture, and neither one of these actually have the face powder. So you've got a highlight as a larger one. In the new palette, place the larger highlight with a face powder. Now, my only criticism of the new palettes is that because the face powders are in there, I do think it limits who these products are actually going to work for. In that, for me, I don't really think either face powder works for me, and I think you're gonna find other people in that same situation. I think that with a face palette like this, in a perfect world, all of the colors are going to work for you. Although personally, I can sort of forgive if like one of the powders isn't going to be particularly flattering on me. So in that vein, the Glowing Beauty is not designed for my skin tone, and that is okay. It is designed for other people, and that makes me really happy. I just wish that there had been a third and even a fourth palette in this line, so that way truly everybody could have enjoyed it. I would love to see Charlotte come up with more of those. Got a beautiful heart motif right here, which I think is stunning. And again, we're just gonna take one more look at the Pretty Blushed Beauty palette. Super, super pretty. And I'd say again, for me, everything except for the face powder works. I can make the face powder work, but it's a little more yellow, a little more warm tone than I prefer. But if I'm looking for something that could be easy, effortless, everyday look, maybe wearing on Zoom for work or a weekend away, and you can make these colors or the other colors work for you, I don't think you can go wrong. So let's move on to the next part of the collection, and that is the Tinted Love. I have Blushed Rose and Santa Euphoria. Blushed Rose is a little bit more of a blush pink, of course, and Santa Euphoria, more of a coral terracotta pink. And there you go. I like these on the lips. I think they're very flattering. I think they're very comfortable. Again, great for Zoom or under a mask. They're not sticky, they feel lightweight, but on the cheeks, I did wear them with a lighter coverage foundation on purpose, and they didn't look great in studio lights, but they looked beautiful in the sun. These are the kind of things that I think I'd like to wear maybe to the beach or for like a really effortless, lighter summer look. Right now, I want to experiment more with these products. I think if you like that lighter, sun-kissed, model off duty, Glossier for grown-up vibe, I think you'll enjoy them. But if you are a little bit more of a heavy duty makeup user, obviously you won't. So let's talk about the lipsticks. Now the lipsticks are interesting because they re-released from their wedding lipstick collection, which I believe was last summer. I'm gonna leave my video link down below. They've re-released Mrs. Kisses, First Dance, and Wedding Bells. So they've re-released these three lipsticks, but they've put them in this limited edition, I believe it's limited edition, sparkly packaging that Nude Romance came in. So I'm also gonna leave my Nude Romance video linked down below, but this is such a pretty lipstick. Let's get a little closer.
I have seen you here before, not a coincidence, I'm sure. I hope you're looking at me now, from the corner of your eye. Someday.
First Dance, Mrs. Kisses, Wedding Bells, and Nude Romance. So of these four lipsticks, I gotta say my favorite is Nude Romance. I like that it's a little bit glossier, whereas the other three are a bit more matte, and I just find this color a touch more flattering on me. I actually love wearing this color. Now I do love that she actually re-released these lipsticks from last year. I hate it when she has limited edition lipsticks because then I want to recommend them to you guys and wear them and reference them. I'm always getting people asking if I can find them, sort of like dupes for some of her limited edition lipsticks. So I'm glad that she's brought these ones back, and I definitely hope they're here to stay this time because these are, again, just beautiful. Gonna leave those other videos linked down below. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you down in the comments below. If you haven't already, please subscribe here at Classy on the Run. We love talking about beautiful high-end luxury makeup, and Charlotte Tilbury is of course one of my favorite brands to talk about. Got a couple giveaways live on the channel in some of my recent videos, so you're going to want to check those out, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye. Mwah.